Join me now. It's Congressman Khanna, Democrat from California. Here's how bad it is, Congressman. This is how embarrassing it is. A reporter from Punch Bowl got a picture of the demands of Marge Green. And here they are. I'm going to put them up on screen. The list of amendments Green is pushing for the resolution. She wants none of the funds made available by this act may be used to provide assistance to Ukraine. She wants to repeal the permanent indefinite appropriation for independent counsels, which the DOJ is to basically defund Jack Smith. She wants to prevent funds for use for a new FBI headquarters. She wants the FBI to can't get a building. Prohibits funding for COVID-19 vaccine mandates, of course, make people die from COVID, and prevents funds from being used to enforce mask mandates, of course, make people die from COVID. So where are we going with this, man? I mean, Congressman, this seems like the House is going to do absolutely nothing in the next 6 days.
Well, Joy, you just pointed out how extreme the proposal is from Marjorie Taylor Greene, but this is pretty simple. Kevin McCarthy just has to keep his word. He made a deal with the president. This was supposed to cover the budget, and he's not keeping his word of just doing what the deal that he himself struck with the president. I mean, they weren't able to get votes today, Joy, for a budget that would have cut spending by 8%. And they still can't pass it amongst their own colleagues. It's just chaos.
Kevin McCarthy also in the no S Sherlock category, also according to Punch Bowl News. He thinks opponents are just sparking a shutdown just to kick him out of the speakership. I mean, like, no kidding, man. What deal does he think? I sometimes wonder how he ties his shoes in the morning, how he manages to do that. Is he genuinely shocked that his inner circle and cadre of aides think that, yes, they're trying to provoke a shutdown in order to push him out of the speakership? No kidding. Why is he the last to know that?
Well, he's just going day by day to survive. There's no strategic plan. I mean, he's literally trying to just hold on. The problem is this would almost be comical in reality television if it weren't as serious. I mean, for all of the Republicans' rhetoric saying that people are paying too much in gas and food and rent, the Democrats actually want to do something about it. We want to provide people assistance to help make their rent easier. We want to provide them with food nutrition assistance. And the Republicans are saying, no, we don't want, we want to take that away. We want to shut down the government. It's the height of irresponsibility. It's a betrayal on everything they ran on last cycle.
And is there a world in which I used to say when Boehner was Speaker that why didn't he just go over and say, I'm gonna go to that lady, Speaker Pelosi, and she can get me the votes and forget y'all? Is there a world in which Kevin McCarthy figures out that he can go to Hakeem Jeffries, the minority leader, get enough Democrats to vote for a spending bill and be done with it?
Well, he may have to do that, but then he would have to have a joint governance agreement of the House because he would lose a lot of his members. And the Democrats are going to be united around Hakeem Jeffries, who, by the way, has done a phenomenal job in keeping our caucus united. I mean, it's a study in contrast. We have everyone from the centrists to the moderates to the progressives marching under the same drumbeat on the key issues with Hakeem Jeffries and the president, and they're in disarray.
So, I mean, because the thing is, at this point, Kevin McCarthy is not the Speaker of the House. Some combination of Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Greene are the Speaker. And so I wonder for the Democratic caucus, what is the plan on the Democrat side? Because the Democrats cannot pass a bill in the House. They do not have the majority. But is there a backup plan? Is there a backup plan that you're talking with some Republicans on the other side, the few who are not absolutely mad, to actually make sure that we don't have a shutdown?
Well, Joy, first, it's important to realize that Marjorie Taylor Greene is running the House, and I think most Americans realize that because her name ID is 20% higher than Kevin McCarthy. So they get that she's really calling the shots here. What we've been saying is that the McCarthy needs to keep the deal he made with the president of the United States and needs to figure out how to do that. If he can't do that with his own caucus, then Hakeem Jeffries, our leader, has said that he'll talk to Kevin McCarthy, but then it's got to be a fair governance. I mean, you can't have anti-choice bills, anti-trans provisions, anti-funding Ukraine provisions come up for votes in that scenario. I mean, the Democrats wouldn't do that. So let's see what Kevin McCarthy does. But the Democrats are acting responsibly, and Kevin needs to do that.
You know, it is remarkable, I think, when you think about it, that, you know, when we are looking at potentially the shutdown of our government, what Republicans are focusing on is impeaching Joe Biden for fill in the blanks. They don't even know what for.
And they're so out of touch. You know, I was with the United Auto Workers on the picket lines in Wayne, Michigan, and Toledo, Ohio. You know what they're saying? They're saying we need some help. We need help with our rent. We need help with our food bills. We need help because our wages haven't kept up. The Democrats are saying we are there with a working class agenda. Just pass these bills so that we can help those working class Americans and help the president bring back manufacturing, raise wages. And all the Republicans want to do is score political points and give the keys to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like I said, it would be comical if it weren't sad, because who's being hurt are the working class Americans in this country.
Lord, I wish we could give some of these voters just a sense of basic embarrassment to say you should be embarrassed. If Marjorie Greene is the speaker, one should be embarrassed by that. And as our great senior producer, one of our senior producers, Pete, said, all Kevin McCarthy ever wanted to be is somebody called former Speaker Kevin McCarthy. That seems to be his only goal, because he got the gavel and he ain't doing nothing with it. Congressman Ro Khanna, thank you and good luck. We'll be right back.